Hi, and welcome to UNF Kids. My name is Anastasia, and if you're just joining us, I sent our viewers last week on a very bold quest. Their mission was to discover whether the symbols of deliciousness of our proud Ukrainian heritage are rightfully called Varenyky or Pyrohy. To settle this debate, I sent over 300 kids to go ask their parents about how their family arrived in Canada and whether they arrived with the first wave of Ukrainian immigration to Canada, the second wave of immigration to Canada, the third wave of Ukrainian immigration to Canada, or the fourth wave of Ukrainian immigration to Canada. So in result, only a few handful of Chemny Dita did the homework, along with my cousin Bob from Edmonton. But the charts I could have created from your answers sort of should have kind of looked like this. As we can see, the word Pyrohy is more commonly heard out west, although the word Varenyk is still used there. But out in eastern Canada, the word Varenyk rules, and Pyrohy is seldom, if ever, heard. So why is that? Why do different provinces call the delicious dumpling different things? Well, the answer lies in our history, doesn't it?
Nerd.
We learned last week that the Ukrainians that came during the first and second waves came mostly from Western Ukraine and settled primarily in Western Canada. Now let's look at the word Pyrohy itself. Where does it actually come from? This chart shows that the word Pyrohy itself is only used in Western Ukraine and nowhere else in Ukraine. So there is no surprise it carried over to Western Canada when Western Ukrainians settled there. Now you may be thinking, but my family is from Western Ukraine and I eat Varenyky. Fear not, fellow foodies. To illustrate the answer, let me tell you a story. Once upon a davnim-davno, there were no cars anywhere.
No way!
When the first Ukrainian settlers arrived on the prairies in the 1890s, the first motor car had just been invented and wouldn't really hit the streets of Canada for another decade. So what do you think the first and second wave actually called this newfangled contraption in Ukrainian?
I don't know.
The gara. With no Ukrainian word for the thing, the first and second wave took the English word for a little Ukrainian spin. But as time went on, the word automobile was introduced to Ukrainian speakers in Europe, and they translated into Ukrainian as avto. This new word for car was heavily used by Ukrainians that came to Canada during the third wave of immigration in the 1950s. The word avto soon became what most Ukrainians used across the country, especially since the Ukrainian schooling system was becoming more standardized and Ukrainian-Canadian organizational life exploded with polemical fervor. Which means that Ukrainians like to publish their ideas and opinions. All of them. So with all the linguistic influence coming into the country, the word avto was soon becoming the accepted Ukrainian word for car in Canada. Until the mashina arrived. The fourth wave of Ukrainians used the word mashina, and it sounded so strange to Ukrainian Canadians that we're used to calling it avto. It was called the machine? They also used words like magazin and toilette and insisted that these were the proper Ukrainian words to use. Mais qu'est-ce que ça veut dire? It means that different waves of immigration that came at different times used different words for the same thing. So now back to Varenyky. I mean Pyrohy. I mean delicious. As we can see, the use of the word Pyrohy declined in each new wave of immigration over time. This is possibly for several reasons. First of all, the waves became more mixed with people coming more and more from all corners of Ukraine, not just Western Ukraine where the word Pyrohy was used. And two, the word Pyrohy was seen as a regional word and was not used in official Ukrainian language textbooks or publications very often. In the end though, both words are just as delicious and just as relevant to explaining our experience as Ukrainian Canadians. Using either word will tell a lot about your family's history in Canada and their origins in Ukraine. So the next time you pick up a bowl of these, just smother them in sour cream and thank your family for their long and hard journey in getting you here and eating them in the first place. Until next time, smacznego! I'm gonna get fat doing these videos.
Oh yeah.